A good day to you. So spring is in the air here in lockdown Victoria, not that we can go anywhere or do anything, but still I thought I'd cheer myself up by talking about something rather close to my heart and something quintessentially spring-like. So just look at this. This is fresh as a daisy, even with a butterfly on the label, none other than the silver-washed fritillary, as I'm sure many of you avid nature watchers will have pointed out. So this is the Hattingley Valley non-vintage classic reserve, a dry, traditional method sparkling wine from Hampshire in England. The team at Hattingley Valley approached us at CellarHand a good few years back to see if we'd consider bringing these wines into Australia. I have to say we're really keen on the idea from the outset. The best English fizz was already gaining a lot of praise in several quarters, and Hattingley had certainly marked itself as a leading light. But of course, posh name and an obscure provenance are never going to be enough. A novelty soon wears off in wine, and especially when it comes with a price tag to rival champagne. So these wines had to be seriously good, and they had to have some kind of X factor, something that made them English and special for that. So we put them through their paces with a couple of blind tastings of top grower and commercial champagne and other fizz, and the Hattingley wines shone both times. So the winery is based in Weald in Hampshire, a little village some 100 kilometres southwest of London. It was founded in 2008 by an ex-city lawyer named Simon Robinson, who astutely hired gun winemaker Emma Rice to design his winery and lead the project from the start. And from the outset, it set itself for success with a really realistic idea of the eye-watering outlay needed for a successful sparkling wine program. First harvest there was 2010. The first release came in 2013. And that year, Simon quit his job for good to commit himself heart and soul to this dream. And Emma Rice has resoundingly repaid his faith. She's twice been named English Winemaker of the Year, to add to a host of accolades, including the world's best rosé at the International Champagne and Sparkling Wine World Championships. So what exactly has England got going for it? Well, the climate. I know we forever joke about how bad it is, but it is said to mirror that of Champagne back in the 1970s. Warm enough to ripen sparkling wine grapes, with delicate but appealing flavours at low alcohols, and with the acidity that gives fizz its explosive energy and freshness. And another key ingredient is chalk. Dig into the South Downs soil and you'll find the same white gold that Champagne has been mining for centuries. A couple of other notable things before we look at the wine about Hattingley's pursuit of excellence. It has a coquille press, which is basically the Rolls-Royce of grape presses that allows for all-important pristine juice to be drawn from these grapes without any astringency that might then be magnified in the finished wine. And it's also rare in its use of oak. The likes of Krug and Jackson are touchstones for Emma Rice. Every wine spends at least some time in oak. The key is not so much flavour as much as building texture and presence in the wine, and counterpoint to its crisp English fruit and zip. And one other point I think is important. The English wine scene is, on the whole, a seemingly collaborative affair. They know that in order to catch up on the head start enjoyed by other sparkling traditions, they'd best share knowledge and champion successes. And to that point, Hattingley owner Simon Robinson is chairman of Wine GB. Emma, meanwhile, has sat on for years on the management committee of the UK Vineyard Association. And thanks to her long-running lab and consulting company, Custom Crush, which is now run out of Hattingley, she has incredible insight into growing conditions right across England and spanning many years. So CellarHand brings into Australia a sparkling vintage rosé and a Blanc de Blanc, as well as this, the classic reserve. This is their first NV. Of course, it takes a while to build up those reserves needed for an NV wine. The base vintage here is 2014, an excellent vintage in the UK. In fact, one that just made Hattingley's Supreme Champion 2020 of the Wine GB Awards. So this wine is a blend of several vintage wines. 18% of the blend comes from reserve wines. The rest, as I said, from 2014. The assemblage here is 50% Chardonnay, 30% Pinot Noir, 19% Pinot Meunier, and 1% Pinot Gris, but you won't taste it. The grapes were hand harvested and whole bunch pressed. 15% of the wine was barrel fermented in old white Burgundy barrels. It also underwent partial malolactic fermentation. That step goes some way to softening the wine's natural acidity. After the blending, the wine underwent secondary fermentation in bottle, Champagne method, traditional method, in the bottle, and spent a minimum of 18 months aging on its sleeves and another 5 years on cork. And what's always quite remarkable is this sense of white spring flowers and what the English call hedgerow, which I don't know really translates that much to Australia, but that sort of fresh spring grass and leafiness in the air. But also here we're looking at quite crisp apple, but also almost dried pear. Note there's a bit of almond toast from the lees. Good complexity, and actually a bit of underlying cherry fruit as well, which is nice. Remember, about, 50% of this is Pinot of some description. On the palate, nice and dry. It's actually filled out really quite nicely now. Nice broad spread on the palate, really fine, super soft bubble there, very fine bead, foamy and bright, really nice flavors. A bit of honey and hazelnut coming through on the palate there. Really nice orchard fruits, faint toastiness, lovely length, and just this beautiful bright zing to it. I mean, you'd expect that from good champagne as well, don't get me wrong, but the acidity here really is electric. As I said, smells like spring. Beautiful drink to have at this time of year. Something to really liven up the days, and really something quite unusual to dig into. Hattingley Valley, I really do recommend that you chase them down. If you want to know more about Hattingley Valley or any other wines on the CellarHand website, please go check them out on cellarhand.store. Feel free as well to send us a direct message at CellarHandWine or to me at Van Merrison. But in the meantime, please stay safe, drink responsibly and discerningly, have some fun, and thank you as always for watching.